and they shall take a heifer, which is life as we know. So, what does he mean? As we know, everybody knows, obviously. But so let's open that up a little bit and it's Parshat Hukat today, and we're going to again look at commentary by the Ishbitzer Rebbe, Rabbi Mordechai Yosef Liener of Ishbitz, one Hasidic master. And Parshat Hukat is the topic that we're going to focus on today. There's lots of stories. We're in Parshat Hukat, we're losing Miriam, who passes away. Then we're going to lose Aaron, who passes away. But it starts with Zot Chukat HaTorah. This is the law of the Torah that God spoke to the people of Israel. And it begins with, take yourself a red heifer, which is temimah, whole, that has no blemish, and that has not, lo alea alea ol, which has not worked, has not had any domestic duties like plowing the field, etc. So, and the word ol, parenthetically, is also the word for when we think of Torah and mitzvot, when we take on the practice, observance of mitzvot. It's talked, the Chazal, the rabbis talk about that as taking on the ol, the yoke of, like an ox does, the yoke of Torah mitzvot, the effort. And that is actually pretty central to how the Ishbitzer is going to open up this sentence. Just to say a word about the Parah Adumah, the red heifer. What the Torah is going to, the Parsha is going to continue to describe is that the priests were to take a red heifer, and it's described, it's a very particular one, it has to be whole, without a blemish, and that has not had a yoke put on its neck, and then it's burnt to ashes. And those ashes are then later, through a very specific procedure, become mixed in with water, and they become a purifying potion or purifying liquid that's used in the purification of people who are ritually impure. So that's a little bit of the context, and we'll jump into the commentary here in a moment. Those of you who are wishing to look at a source sheet, at the source sheet that we prepare every week, go to our website, Hebrew Learning Circles, and you click Jewish Resources, go down to Parsha Videos. This is where the video of this lesson is going to appear later. And you're going to find the source sheet right there. It's going to be underneath the video itself. And it includes the pasuk from the Torah, and then the commentary by Meir Shiloach in Hebrew and with English translation. And that's a source sheet. Also, while you're there, feel free to browse our website. And again, as always, thank you for subscribing, liking, sharing, and adding your comments. So the Ishbitzer says this: Ki la'atid yigaleh Hashem yitbarach et kvodo le'Yisrael bli shum levush. In the future, and he's actually taking this from a Gemara in Gita Samech Aleph, he says, there is going to be, the Holy One, blessed be, will reveal the divine presence, its glory, to Israel without any garment, in its pure essence, without any coverings, without any externalities. By the way, you can hear the very intuitive assumption that right now, if God reveals God's self at all, it's cloaked in externalities, it's cloaked in, or it's hidden underneath reality as we know it, physical reality. כי עכשיו גם כן נמצא זה החיים בעומק ישראל. He says, though now the זה החיים, this life, and I would venture to translate the Ishbitzer here as saying this spiritual life, or the life of life, or the essence of life, also exists inside the depth of Israel. But is only revealed through garments. So it's interesting what he's saying here. He's saying the fact that in the future God will reveal God's full glory with no intermediary, with no garments. The term garments is the coverings. Doesn't mean that God is not available right now, though only through those externalities. What are the externalities? Those are the Torah and the mitzvot. שאין יכולים לבוא לעומק רצון השם יתברך רק על ידי תורה ומצוות. And one can only come to access the depth of the divine will through Torah and mitzvot as things stand right now. So Torah and mitzvot are the intermediary. So far, this is a pretty actually common, normative, you could say Jewish traditional take on the relationship between heaven and earth and how we intersect, right? So Torah and mitzvot, the way I read it, the way I read the Ishbitzer, is, in using more universal language, is spiritual practice and spiritual learning, right? So Torah is the oracle medium, the textual medium, and the contemplative medium, and mitzvot are the actual actions, the spiritual actions, what is also known as skillful means for accessing the depth of the divine will. And that's what it means when the Torah says, he's now referring back to the verse, and they shall take a heifer, which is life as we know. So what does he mean? As we know, everybody knows, obviously, but so let's open that up a little bit and explain what he is assuming is so so trivial, or so should be understood. So why is a cow, a heifer, representing life? And so one of the commentaries that I read is that the word para, which means cow, if you read it slightly different with different vowels, it could be read as pore, para pore. Pore means fruitful, to bring forth life. Pru uvu, the very first mitzvah in the Torah that's given to Adam when the world is created is be fruitful and multiply. Pru uvu. So he's making that connection between para and pore, which means fruitful, and that means to bring forth life, right? To give birth, make babies. So that's what he means by. That's how he's making the connection between para, a heifer, and life through the word para. And elsewhere also, he talked about, I think actually last week when we were looking at Parshat Korach, and we looked at Ezekiel, the vision of Ezekiel, and how in that vision there was the head of, on the chariot, there was the head of an ox, and that is replaced with later with the head of a human. And there, the ox, again, the cow, the bovine, right, is representing deep divine wisdom. So when we're talking about life, we're not talking about just life, biological life, but here we're talking about the essence of life, the depth of the life force that animates us, that comes from another realm, the spiritual realm. So I just wanted to clarify that. Okay, and let us continue with the Ishbitzer's commentary. And at this time, for now, it has been ordained by the Creator that life should be cloaked in garments. For now, life, or the essence of life, is cloaked with the Torah and with the mitzvot, with the contemplation of Torah and with the actions or refrain from actions that are the mitzvot. Aduma Tamima, now he's saying, okay, we just explained what the heifer represents, but why red and why whole? What does that mean? Aduma Tamima, red and whole. Hainu tekufot mefurash, bli hefsek ubli pgam. Meaning, tekufot comes from the word takif or takef, which means strength, fully embodied, completely there, durable, right? That's tekufot mefurash. So it's, and mefurash means clear, or is completely clear, obvious, visible. So clearly strong, that is red. And it never ends and never has a blemish. That means whole. So not only that, it's in the metaphor, obviously we're looking for a cow that is the perfect specimen, but on it's an allegory to the kind of strength that never wanes, continual strength without a break. Asher ein bamum hainu shtut. And then he says, and what does it mean that it already said a whole, but then it continues, the verse continues to say without a blemish. It says, what does that mean? What does that represent? Hainu, it means shtut, and shtut means silliness or casualness. So that in a person's actions there should be no decline or descent into unconsciousness, into silliness, into triviality, right? There's this high standard of focus, right? Of seriousness, you can say. Asher lo ala le'ol. Now he's going to the third condition. Let's remember the heifer. There's three conditions for the heifer. It should, or four rather, should be red, should be whole, it should be without a blemish, and it should have had no yoke put on it, right? So I was going to the fourth condition. Asher lo aleh le'ol. There should have been no yoke put on it. It's probably either a young heifer that has not been put to work yet, or just a heifer that was lucky to have a good life and never have to pay for its keep. And so now he's going to interpret what does yoke represent here? Shelo haya shum yegi'ah l'Yisrael me'olam. And this represents that Israel, meaning us, meaning the people, should have never had to effort or sweat for, for this access to the life of life, to the essence of life. But just to repeat that, so the heifer represents the essence of life. The red represents strength. Whole represents continual strength. Without a blemish represents with no breakdown of consciousness or focus, continual focus, and without yoke represents no effort. Now he's going to bring a proof text from Zechariah, the prophet Zechariah. Moshe Ne'emar, Shnei Zeitim Metzukim Bli Shum Yegi'ah. And he's showing that in the prophet Zechariah talks about an image. He has a vision of menorah, and at the side of the menorah there's these two olive trees that are holding it up, and then Zechariah asks, make a long story short, asks the angel or the force that's communicating with him from the upper realms, what does it mean? And the explanation is that this menorah does not have to hold itself up; it's being held. There's no effort whatsoever. The Ishbitzer here is really focusing on the idea of attainment without effort. And he says, and all that potential is right now hidden inside Torah and mitzvot, inside the system of practice, of spiritual practice, of al-atid, but in the future, the Holy One, blessed be, will reveal the essence of life without any garment. Midrash, Gemara Midas Sanhedrin, as it's brought in the Midrash in the name of Gemara in the Tractate of Nida, mitzvot betelot la'atid lavo, that in the future, in the eschatological future, the end of days, in our tradition, we talk about that as the time of the coming of the Messiah. The need to effort spiritually will be annulled. There will be no need. There will be no need for mitzvot. Can you imagine a Judaism without mitzvot? There will be no more bar mitzvah, for instance. Rabbis will be out of work. But obviously, I'm being a little facetious because this is what we intuitively, I believe, wish for. This is what we know in the culture, this taken to the East, as a state of nirvana, perhaps. I'm not an expert on Sanskrit spirituality, but this is what we look forward to. We look forward to a time where we can attain access to the deepest wisdom, the deepest essence of life, to be in purpose, to be in focus, to be in bliss, to be in this fulfillment of living in one's full potential as a human being in the future without any effort. And Holy One, blessed be, will see to it that no one has any yoke, any effort, any need to work hard. Because the Holy One will be guiding everybody. Can you imagine? I wake up in the morning and it's very clear what God wants from me that morning. And therefore, no sweat. I know what I need to do. I do it. Everything is fulfilled. Everything is in harmony. No bumps, no troubles, no confusion, no trial and error. No error, no trial, just full knowledge. I mean, this is so futuristic, so utopian. We can't, we may have glimpses, moments, when they say that, the doors are opening. We have moments like that where everything just lines up. And that is the vision for that day in the future. אך שהיה בהסתר, וזהו פירוש לא עלה לעול. So he finishes here by saying, but right now all this potential is by design hidden. And this is what it means that there will be no yoke on the red heifer. So what does that conjure up? What does that mean? What's the take home? And remember that the purpose of this red heifer that needs to fulfill these four conditions of red, whole, without a blemish, and without a yoke. And four, by the way, is not. He doesn't address this, but it seems very meaningful because the name of the ineffable name of God has four letters. There are four different worlds according to Kabbalistic systems. So you could say that each one of these conditions is following the pattern of four. We also know that in the way consciousness works, that there are four levels to the inner process, the psychological process. We have the sensations of the body, we have the feelings of the emotions of the heart, we have the intellectual, the mental space, and we have the world of dreams. Those are the four worlds. We say those are kind of like described in human experience, the division of four, and it's all over. This kind of pops up in our tradition in so many. We have wine, 4 cups of wine on Passover. There's 4 children. There's 4 questions. There's the 40 days up on Mount Sinai to receive the Torah. The number 4 is very, very embedded at the kind of deeper structure of the Jewish spiritual scheme, cosmology. And so the parah adumah, the red heifer, is its purpose is to, once it's burnt and made into ashes and mixed with water, it's part of the purifying. It becomes, that holds the essence, the information, like a homeopathic remedy of the power to purify, to purify the dross right out of life, and to leave us with an essential, whole, fulfilled, consistent with the divine will, with the harmony of all of reality. So we're going to leave it at that. On that note, may we all be blessed with the little touches that sometimes by grace we're gifted with, of this space of Pa'adimah, the Red Heifer, and the effortless doing by non-doing, the effortless space that is promised to us after the time for contemplation and active practice of Torah and mitzvot is no longer needed. Thank you so much for learning with us today. Again, please subscribe, like, share. We really appreciate it. putting both feet in the waters together with us and giving us your vote of confidence so we can continue to teach Torah. I also want to acknowledge that my partner, Rebelli, was not here today, was not able to show up. I always miss him when he's not. For now, shalom, and God willing, we'll see you next Wednesday at around 9 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Time in the U.S. Shalom for now. Ahava